So what I want to talk to you all about today is one of the most confusing and distressing things that I deal with and as part of my experience. It's something that I find really, really hard to think about, let alone talk about. But for us to try and share this understanding, I think it's best to start with stories, because stories are fundamentally how we enjoy the human experience. And to do that, we're going to travel back to June 2018. Lovely time, summer, it's great. And in this time, I just finished my first year of university. And I just started my first real engineering internship at a federal lab focusing on renewable energy. And this was a really, really cool experience for me. This set out, I got to work on the problem that I wanted to solve in the world, the 21st century energy transition, one of the biggest problems that we're facing mankind today. And I've got to meet colleagues and fellow interns who really became my family and really set me out like, these are the professionals I want to work with throughout my entire career. And it was a great experience. There was only one problem. And that is that news broke about family separation at the southern border of the United States, where basically kids were separated from their moms and their dads based on the premise of we need to verify that those are your parents, right? And they were separated for weeks on end, shoved in cages. It was a horrible time. And naturally, many of my fellow interns were like, we want to do something about this. We want to go out, we're going to join protests, we're going to really speak out against this injustice. And which is great. And they used our intern group chats to do that. There's only one problem with that though. Where I was working at is a federal institute. And as a federal government institute, in the United States, you're not allowed to engage in political activities. It's just a big no-no. And so I was very, very much concerned for my fellow interns and potentially what they were doing, because fundamentally, like, they could ruin their careers this way, because many of them were working for the federal government. And especially since we were a renewable energy institute. And at the time, the current administration was not very, very keen on renewable energy, to put it very mildly. So I put out a long 4-paragraph message in like our little group chat, and this is the response I got. I was told, well, we shouldn't be afraid to speak out. You should be more mindful of your own privilege and these experiences of what people are going through. And to be fair, this is an accurate assessment. Look at me. I'm a white guy. I get to work with millions of dollars of special research equipment. I'm incredibly privileged to live where I am and be able to do what I do. There's just one small thing that's not quite right about that story. And that is, this is mi familia. These are my cousins, Nick and Chris Lopez. We're currently at a family reception with our entire extended family, hundreds of people, lots of fun, enjoying burritos, tamales, the classic things that we enjoy. And this is our grandfather. He was the chief negotiator for the civil rights movement in Northern Colorado. He founded El Comité, which is an organization that continues to fight for the civil rights of Mexican Americans today. And this is a little article about back in the day. And this is my family's experience. This is my lived experience. So, and I'm sure to many of you, this is surprising, right? I mean, just look at me. I'm white passing as fuck, okay? And when I brought it up with my fellow Fabs, when we were practicing, they're like, these people knew me for 5 years, and like, wait, you're Hispanic? No way. And it's surprising. And most of the time, it's kind of funny, right? It's kind of cool. But there are moments when it really does suck. And one of those moments was when I was 8, my dad was deployed overseas. And my mom, it was December, she said, you know what, I'm gonna do some Christmas stuff. We're gonna have a really good Christmas, it's gonna be great. And we're gonna do the quintessential Christmas thing. We're gonna go take you and we're gonna go see Santa Claus. And you're gonna tell him what you want for Christmas. So I go up to the mall, I walk up and I get handed off to one of the elves. I go say what I want for Christmas, and then I get handed off to another elf to go back to my mom. Thing is that second staff member did not believe that I was my mom's son. Because how on earth could this white kid be the son of this Hispanic woman? So they refused to give me back to them. And this led to a dispute. Police got involved. And basically, the police separated me from my mom until she could prove that I was her child. This is my experience. And it sucks, right? It fucking sucks. But there's also one other thing. Imagine having that experience and receiving this. Being told that you're privileged, that you should be more mindful of the experience of others. It sucks, right? And I really want to focus on this. Really take a moment and imagine that. Now, I'm not saying this to make these people as villains or to really criticize anyone involved here. Because, well, if we're going to honest ourselves, many of you were just as surprised as these people were as well. I'm saying this to kind of demonstrate a point, and that is that every single one of you are here today because you're passionate about solving problems in the world. You're here because you want to solve complex problems. And solving complex problems is not a task that you can do alone. You need people, you need teams, you need to work with others. And the reality is that we're all human. We're gonna make assumptions about who those people are, what their experiences are, and where they're coming from, especially when we may disagree with them. We may not see eye to eye. And this is why when you're working these problems, there's one really key word to be able to navigate that, to be able to understand other people, get different perspectives, and get a great understanding of how to solve these problems. And that is empathy. We continuously say this word in UAF, not because it's because it's increasingly important. It's incredibly important to have empathy and try to understand where other people are coming from. To ask questions, try to gain insights from people you disagree with people who you may not even see eye to eye on. But when you do that, you might find new ideas, you might find new perspectives, or in my case, you might find new allies, people who are willing to work there side by side in the trenches. So my big question for you is, how might we color with empathy? Thank you very much.